Welcome back to Sunday Report. I'm John Glasgow. A string of violent Antifa protests in the city of Atlanta are now catching the attention of the state's Attorney General. This past month, in a 109-page indictment, Attorney General Chris Carr brought a variety of domestic terrorism and RICO charges against 61 defendants from over a dozen states over their alleged participation in the violent Cop City protests that have been taking place there since 2020. For more on this, let's bring in Andy No. He's the senior editor at Post Millennial, and Andy is also the author of the New York Times bestseller Unmasked: Inside Antifa's Radical Plan to Destroy Democracy. Also with us is Jessie Jane Duff, ambassador at America First Policy Institute. Jessie's also a retired gunnery sergeant of the U.S. Marine Corps. So, Andy, this indictment accuses the defendants of being members of the Defend Atlanta Forest group, who have organized acts of violence, intimidation, and property destruction in Georgia and other states since 2020 to stop the construction of this future first responder training facility. So the RICO charge against one defendant reads, in part, on June 6, 2022, William Budden Warren, while employed with Flock, did provide locations of future Flock camera installations so that the Defend Atlanta Forest members could avoid detection. I also understand that numerous defendants have ties to this Southern Poverty Law Center and even the DOJ. Can you walk us through all this, make this make sense for our viewers?
Yeah, so the RICO charges in this Fulton County grand jury indictment has sent chills across the far left militant organizing networks in the United States, because for years they have felt that they can commit acts of organized violence with impunity. We've seen all the headlines for years over and over. There's no such thing as organized Antifa. There's no such thing as the organized violent far left. These are racial justice protests. So I recommend that your viewers read or skim through the 109-page indictment. And some of the suspects that are named in there have links to places that are, well, if the allegations are true, these associations would be really disturbing. So there's a person who, until the day of the indictment being made public, worked at a high level at Flock Safety. Now, this is a security camera company that has business relationships with all of the law enforcement agencies in the Atlanta metro area and beyond. And the Attorney General alleges that this person was letting his co-conspirators know where some of these security cameras are being installed so that they could avoid detection in carrying out their criminal acts. Many of those indicted come from very wealthy backgrounds, highly educated. One was a DOJ intern. Another who was previously charged with domestic terrorism and is now indicted on a RICO charge, is a current staffer for the SPLC. So this is a huge story in regards to, I guess, the fight against Antifa and the violent far left in the United States.
Jessie Jane, I want to get your thoughts on this. What do you make of this story?
Well, first of all, I have to commend Andy because he has always been aggressively on the front lines dealing with Antifa, even being attacked himself. I follow him closely on Twitter, and I think everybody should. But with that, this has been a blind eye by so many cities that have allowed Antifa to take over and wreak havoc. We have seen few people prosecuted in many of these riots or have been given very minor sentencing. I'm actually impressed that we have somebody moving aggressively against these 61 defendants because of the simple fact they were throwing Molotov cocktails at police officers. You may be against the police on many levels, and there's other ways of dealing with it, but these left-wing cities have brought on a lot of this aggression by their turning a blind eye or not being aggressive and stopping the riots that we have seen all over the city, cities being burned down, even many lives lost, including law enforcement officers attacked ruthlessly over and over again. It gets little coverage, but yet meanwhile, they'll cover Donald Trump and his RICO charges, which have nothing even remotely close to the evidence that is against these individuals. So thank goodness somebody is finally taking action.
Yeah, that's a good point. Andy, I'm going to give you the last word. What's the takeaway here for the viewers at home?
I hope that the state of Georgia does everything they can to protect whoever is going to serve on the jury if this goes to trial. already there are already violent extremists online talking about ways that they may want to intimidate this entire process from going further.
Right on. Jesse Jane Duff, thank you so much for coming on. Andy as well, appreciate it. Thank you so much for being with us. Happy Sunday to you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.